Hello everybody, I am Fuzzy Face. Welcome back. Today we've got the ECW The Rebirth Part 2 coming up. Last time out we ran our first show on Showtime. If we just don't get used to the layout, it's actually down here, the show history. We had a pretty good show. We sold out the Manhattan Center. We had a rating of 70. The best angle was Bennett and Maria Kanellis running away from Bully Ray and Velvet Sky before Bully vowed to get retribution. The best match of the show was the main event of RVD and Cebu defeating the Briscoe brothers. Not a bad show there. If we just click on over to the mail, we finished first out of 3 in the Tri-State Regional Battle. Not bad, we only ran one show, we managed to win that. And if we go on to the battles, we see we do have the most star power out of all the companies that are around us. Biggest stars being Paul Heyman, which is ourselves because we're playing as Paul Heyman, Rob Van Dam, Matty Skull, the Sandman, and Tharoof, which is the former Eric Rowan. He hasn't debuted yet, so that is a little bit of a spoiler there. But anyway, the biggest stars in the promotions below us, Rev Pro, have got Will Ospreay and Pac working for them, whereas they've got Jonathan Gresham, who's also working for ROH and Warrior Wrestling, and also Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, but he has signed a written deal with AEW. I did want to bring Gresham in at some point, but he's gone. He's gone over to AEW. He's on a written deal. We're not going to be able to get to him. But anyway, yes, I just also want to mention that with this new diary, I have now passed 1,000 subscribers on the channel. So thank you to everyone that's watched before, being with this channel for a while, and all the new people as well, all the new wrestling fans that we're getting on this channel. Good to have you. Thank you everybody for passing 1,000 subscribers. But anyway, let's get into this. It is ECW Hardcore TV number 402. I think it was like December 30th of the year 2000 was the last Hardcore TV. So it's nearly 20 years since the last episode. We're going to jump in. We are on Showtime Extreme here. We don't actually want that arena. We're going on Fight TV. We're actually internationally shown on Fight TV, so we will be getting some pay-per-view buys potentially for this, but we're following like the AEW model to start with. International, we're just on Fight TV, like a subscription program. We're also on Showtime Extreme. There is no backstage incidents, but we do want to run this show at the 2300 arena, the old ECW arena. Possibly won't sell it out, but we'll select this venue, and let's get into booking this thing. So here we go with Hardcore TV number 402. Doesn't look like we sold out the old ECW arena. We kick things off with Matt Sydal versus Petey Williams on the pre-show. Decent pre-show match. Matt Sydal defeated Petey Williams in 6:58 by pinfall with a fast roll-up. Gets a 52 rating. Petey Williams doing a little bit better than Matt Sydal. The announcing quality lifted the match, as does the color commentary from Tazz. And it's done to work the crowd, with Sydal being the victor, Williams to lose. An open match and to end with a flash pinfall. We then start this show off officially with a video package recapping what went down a few nights ago when ECW ran its return show. ECW The Rebirth will be televised live on Showtime. We get footage of Rob Van Dam and Cebu beating the Briscoes, and then the subsequent beatdown of Rob Van Dam and Cebu by Villain Enterprises. The video also shows the happenings between Dreamer and Callahan, with Dreamer and the Sandman defeating Jake and Dave Chris, but then Dreamer losing later on in the night to Sammy. We also see the Revolt debuting and the alignment between EC3, Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood. So it gets a 51. It advances a couple of the storylines, OVE versus Washed Up Tommy and the whole effing villains. No road agent notes for it. Matty Skull benefited from having a groundswell of public support, and he, even here in the opening video, gets a 51. Not too bad there. We then cut to the ring. The fans are chanting EC-Dub, EC-Dub, EC-Dub here back in the ECW arena, and Joey Styles and Tazz are stood in the ring. Styles once again is emotional. We are back in what was the ECW arena, now the 2300 arena. Styles says ECW is home, back in the city of brotherly love. Tazz talks about beating Cebu right here in 1997 when ECW first aired on pay-per-view, and how he has so many good memories here. The segment rating gets a 64, which is a really good rating for these two. Styles and Tazz both did masterful jobs of improvising interactions with the live crowd, which The opening of the show, it was always good. They do a masterful job here. Before anything else can be said, the Good Brothers, Cal Anderson and Luke Gallows make their way out from the back. Speaking of pay-per-views, they say, when ECW heads back to pay-per-view, we'll be main eventing that show. This then brings out the Briscoes. Jay says that if anyone will headline the return to pay-per-view, it will be them boys. The Good Brothers mock the Briscoes. They say, why would anyone want to see two uncultured hicks main event a pay-per-view, especially when they have already lost, referencing their loss to RBD and Cebu on the first show. The Briscoes are irate, they want to fight, and the Good Brothers are not ones to back down. So it's settled. Our first match on the return of Hardcore TV, right here on Showtime Extreme, will be the Good Brothers versus the Briscoes, and it happens now. This segment rating got a 59. It starts the Revolt Rule storyline, which is potentially a little bit of a spoiler at what might be going down here. Cal Anderson struggled going off script, as did Jay Briscoe, which is a little hard to believe. Mark Briscoe, though, improvises well throughout the segment. Which moves us on to the match, which is a superb match with great heat. And the Briscoes defeat the Good Brothers here in 10:51. Jay Briscoe pinning Cal Anderson after he and Mark hit him with a spiked Jay Driller. EC3 was at ringside during this match. He made his way down the ramp. It in some part leads to the finish. He doesn't get involved, but Anderson and Gallows are a little distracted by him. They stop. It allows the Briscoes to regain control, which then leads to the Briscoes hitting the spiked J Driller on Cal Anderson for the finish. Styles also references during the match that the teams have only met each other one-on-one 2 times before, with both teams holding victories over each other. Those were held, I believe, on the NJPW ROH joint shows. Gallows and Anderson, 57 and 62 ratings. Briscoes have a really good rating. The Revolt Rule storyline gains heat, and both teams have really good chemistry with each other. This was a hardcore match with weapons involved. Jay Briscoe the victor, Cal Anderson to lose. An open match, decisive finish, ended with a pinfall, and Ethan Carter was at ringside. Gets a really good rating of 70, a really good match between these two teams. Which leads us into following the match. Luke Gallows attacks EC3 and the rest of the Revolt. Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood rush out from the back as well. Anderson joins the brawl, as do the Briscoes. Weapons are involved, but the Revolt soon gain control, and the whole smudge of this brawl ends when the Revolt isolate Mark Briscoe and hit him with the Shatter Machine. Yep, the Revolt standing tall here, making it known that they are the kings of this tag team division. It gets a 58 rating. It moves on the Revolt Rule storyline as well. Shouldn't be anything else too much with that. It runs for 4 minutes. We then see Tommy Dreamer arriving in the backstage area after his match with Sami Callihan at The Rebirth will be televised. So this is like a tape promo that was taped pretty much straight after his match at the last show. His face is bloodied. A doctor tries to see him, but he pushes him away and turns to see the camera. He pulls the cameraman toward him, getting his face up in the camera. Blood splatters from his mouth onto the lens as he speaks. You see what you did to me, Sammy. You see that I'm still here, still breathing, still wanting to go. You think you and your boys can put me down. I may be older, I may be slower, but I'm still just as hardcore. Still just as sick and twisted when I'm pushed. I know you'll see this. I know you will. Fight me again, Sammy, and I'll take you to hell. So Tommy is just trying to get over. He's irate that Sammy beat him at the pay-per-view. He wants a rematch. Will he get that rematch? Who knows? The segment rating gets a 54. It advances the OVE versus the washed up Tommy storyline, but Tommy Dreamer did not do too well without a script. We then cut back to the ring, and L. Linderman and T-Hawk are in the middle of their entrance. They are accompanied by Seema. Their opponents for the night, Desmond Xavier and Zachary Wentz, follow, accompanied by Trey Miguel and Kimberly. They are wearing their matching 420 jackets here and are looking to make up for their loss at the Rebirth. Will be televised, where they lost to Seema, T-Hawk, L. Linderman in a 6-man tag match. Gets a 34. And that's pretty much because T-Hawk and L. Linderman are held back by the language barrier. Now this was set to be rated on their star quality. They shouldn't really be talking because it's just an entrance, so maybe the game takes it as they're talking with the star quality. But anyway, Trey and Kimberly, who I think are a real life couple, play off each other really well here. We then move on to the actual match, and the Rascals of Desmond Xavier and Zachary Wentz get a little bit of retribution for the loss at the big show. They defeat the Strong Hearts team of Linderman and T-Hawk. And this match may as well have been just a 6-man tag match because there was interference all over the place. Seema and Trey Miguel got involved in the match. Kimberly was even involved. She hit a moonsault off the turnbuckle to the outside onto pretty much everyone. And the finish comes about when T-Hawk gets isolated. Trey hits him with a Meteora. Xavier follows that up quickly with the final flash, which is just like a corkscrew off the top rope. And Wentz then finishes him off with a Swanton bomb. So the Rascals getting a big win here. They're going to be a big part of the tag division moving forward. They're involved in this. It's a little bit of a beef with Strong Hearts at the moment. Hopefully they're going to put on some good matches. As we see, it was a 53 here. Desmond Xavier carried the match with a 57. Zachary Wentz with a 43. And T-Hawk and L. Linderman, who aren't that over here at the moment. I think they're both rated about 20 for overness, whereas like Xavier and Wentz, I think they're up in the 40s somewhere. But anyway, it was a match aimed at high spots, just tons of quick action here. Des to be the victor, Linderman to lose. The match was open with a decisive finish, ended by pinfall, and then we had the interference from Trey Miguel and Seema. So a pretty decent match. Rascals are a pretty good team. Desmond Xavier is pretty highly rated for his aerial skills. Should be a big part of this ECW promotion going forward. We then get to the entrance of Cebu, followed by the grand entrance of the villain Marty Scurll, decked out in all his attire. Before he can get to the ring though, before he's even had a chance to take his bird mask off, Cebu flies over the top rope and wipes him out, getting this match underway. It is quite a high rated segment. It is a 68. The whole effing villain storyline advances with this segment as well, and Marty Scurll still benefiting from having a groundswell of public support, so he gets like a boost to a lot of his stats and his sort of his overness. He can get a better rating whilst he's in angles and his matches, which leads us into the match itself. It goes 6 minutes 18. It is not a long match. It is pretty much all on the outside. If we look at the road agent notes, it is a wild brawl. Cebu is beating on Marty on the outside, hitting him with chairs, hitting an air Cebu jumping onto him whilst Scurll's in the rails, briefly in the crowd for about a minute before things get back to ringside. And at that point, the rest of Villain Enterprises rush out. Brody King, PCO, Flip Gordon, they're all there. They beat on Cebu. This allows Marty in the ring to hook up Cebu in the chicken wing. Cebu's just been beaten down. He's not responding. The referee waves off the match and it is won by Marty Scurll via submission. Yeah, just a beatdown of Cebu. Whether Marty could have beaten him by himself, that is a question left open here, because we don't really get an answer to that as all the Villain Enterprise members rush down, beat down Cebu, and yeah, he just loses to the chicken wing. He doesn't actually tap out here. But anyway, Cebu gets a performance of 63, a 65 from Marty Scurll, advances the whole effing Villain storyline once again, and Marty Scurll still benefiting from that groundswell of public support. Overall, we get a 64. And this was a wild brawl. As we said, it doesn't really get into the ring until the finish. Scurll, the victor, Cebu to lose, open. PCO's involvement was the main factor in this loss. And then we get Brody and Flip also attacking Cebu during the match. This then leads us into the final segment of the show pretty much. Cebu is still being beaten down after the match by Villain Enterprises. Rob Van Dam comes out to a big reaction, but he cannot help. He still gets beaten down as well. The numbers too much for him, and then the crowd suddenly pick up as a man-beast Rhino comes sprinting down the aisle. Rhino squares off with Brody King. They club each other, and Rhino gets the better of him before delivering a huge gore. Rhino then turns and nearly snaps Flip Gordon in half with another huge gore. PCO though is ready to square up to Rhino, but Marty pulls him away, not wanting him to get involved with Rhino tonight. Marty and PCO are then joined by Brody and Flip, who are clutching at their midsections. As a result of the damage dealt by Rhino, Rhino and Rob Van Dam stand in the ring, daring Villain Enterprises to get back in the ring, but they are backing off and heading for the back. This once again advances the whole effing Villain storyline, gets a decent rating of 62. Skull obviously still getting that boost and gets the crowd way hot here at the end of the show. The crowd just going crazy, wanting the Villain Enterprises to get their comeuppance here, which Rhino sort of delivers with 2 gauze, but they are wanting to see Marty get his comeuppance more than the other members. PCO and Rhino teasing a match as well, wanting to go against each other, but Marty pulling PCO off, and we don't actually get to see that confrontation here. And then to close the show, we get some good old ECW promos. It's set to Mizzaloo, the Dick Dale version from the movie Pulp Fiction. You know, like just old ECW. It's playing in the background as we get some quick cut promos, which start as Villain Enterprises are in the back. Brody is looking hurt, Flip is holding his gut still, PCO, his eyes are wide, he's looking irate, and Marty is staring directly down the camera. He vows to let Rob Van Dam, Cebu, and now Rhino know why good guys should fear the villains. We then move on to Shane Sabre and Space Monkey, the Space Pirates. They're hanging out in the back. Sabre is sipping whiskey, but Space Monkey is not. His banana-shaped hip flask sits to the side. Sabre asks him what is wrong. Space Monkey, between the ooh-oohs and the ah-ahs, manages to get out that he is upset that they lost on Saturday. Sabre says they will get their win back soon, and he knows a place that has the best bananas. Space Monkey instantly cheers up. We then cut to Sami Callihan, who's standing in the back with Jake and Dave Chris. If you want another match, Tommy, if you want to prolong your career by leeching off the draw, you got it. Next week, Tommy, I'll make you bleed again. Then Filthy Tom Lawler is backstage with the other members of Team Filthy, Dominic Guarini and Josh Woods. They are sparring. Lawler says if anybody wants a fight, they know where to find him. Maria Kanellis is in the back with her man Mike Bennett. I'm the queen, she says. I'm the queen of ECW, not Velvet Sky, not anyone. Me. Bennett stretches out an arm. He reassures her and says he is going to get his queen some gold. So Maria taking on pretty much the persona of Francine here, getting the queen of ECW. Monica, the gimmick, going here with Mike Bennett as the man who is going to try and win her some gold. We then cut back to Shane Sabre and Space Monkey. Space Monkey has now been on the whiskey. He's a little bit worse for wear. He's hopping around the room. He's flinging bananas everywhere. Sabre is trying to calm him down. We then cut to Rob Van Dam and Cebu. They are in the back. It's all cool, Marty. I'm not mad. I get it. You want to make your name off the whole effing show and the homicidal, suicidal, genocidal, death-defying maniac Cebu. Then come make it, dude. Rhino then busts into the locker room. He's swearing, ranting, he's throwing things around. Rob Van Dam tries to calm him down, but he can't, and Rhino storms out of the room. RVD looks at the camera, shrugs, and smiles, just as RVD would. And then we move on to, it's a shot of the arena door heading to the outside. Chris Hero walks into the arena, his duffel bag over his shoulder. Someone says to him, "You're late, Chris, event's over." Hero shrugs, turns around and starts heading out of the door. Guess someone's going to get knocked out next week instead then. And as the door to the arena closes behind him, the show goes off the air. So we get a segment rating of 61 for that whole Pulp Fiction style promo. The whole of him villain storyline advances. Skull was a real star in this segment. Sabre and Monkey underperformed Callihan. And yeah, so it's pretty much down to Sabre. Rhino didn't do too well without a script as well, but everyone else doing pretty well here. A good way to finish this show. And that is the last segment. So if we just head on to the finish of the show, we get an overall rating of 65. We increase our popularity in 56 regions. The best match of the night then goes to the Briscoes defeating the Good Brothers with a 70, a really good match there. And the best angle on the show is, which one is it? It's pretty much the villains beat down of Cebu and RVD and then Rhino making this save at the end, although no, the actual best the actual best angle on the show is Joey and Tax. Well, it should be Joey and Tazz welcoming everybody to the show. A little bit of a spelling mistake there, but anyway, a really good show there. Our first Hardcore TV back in the books. We start a few new storylines. We continue a few more on here. And yes, absolutely brilliant. We'll just look at the mail, which is just NXT changing their production. And we don't actually have a TV rating for it because we tape on Wednesdays. It will be aired on Friday nights. So we'll get the rating and everything in the next episode. But I hope you enjoyed this first episode of ECW Hardcore TV back on the airwaves, back on Showtime Extreme. We've got the next episode coming up next time. So subscribe, like this video and all that if you want to be updated when we come back for the next episode. But until that time, I'll see you later. Goodbye.